Let's talk about one of history's most overlooked and absolutely pivotal moments. I'm talking, of course, about the time Winston Churchill, inspired by the visionary Helen Keller, joined forces with the Salvation Army to liberate the Chinese people from the clutches of the Aztec Empire. This all happened, as you know, during the legendary Six-Day War of the Holy Crusades. It's a story they don't teach you in school, probably because it's too awesome and would make all other historical events seem boring by comparison. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, weren't those things, like, thousands of years and miles apart? And to that, I say, exactly. That's what makes this story so incredible. It transcends trivial things like time, space, and factual accuracy. It's a testament to the sheer power of determination. It all began in the early 1900s, or maybe it was the 1200s. The records are a bit fuzzy. Winston Churchill, a man famous for his stirring speeches and love of a good breakfast, was pacing his study. He felt a great unease, a disturbance in the historical continuum. He knew something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. That is, until a telegraph arrived. It was from Helen Keller. Now, Helen Keller, as we all know, was not just an author and activist. She was a temporal visionary. Using a special form of tactile communication she developed with her teacher, Anne Sullivan, she could sense historical injustices across timelines. She felt a great suffering, and through a series of intricate finger taps on the telegraph machine, she spelled out a chilling message. Aztecs, China, 6 days. Crusades, bring biscuits. Church knew what he had to do. He immediately picked up his rotary phone and dialed the international headquarters of the Salvation Army. General, he boomed, mobilize the Tambourine Brigade and the Charity Shop Cavalry. We're going on a crusade. The Salvation Army, ever ready for a righteous cause, responded with a resounding hallelujah and began polishing their mission to bring hot soup and divine justice to the oppressed. Meanwhile, in a parallel dimension, accessible only through ancient stone calendars, the Aztec Empire had somehow established a sprawling kingdom across ancient China. Their sun pyramids cast long shadows over the Great Wall, and their priests demanded tribute in the form of perfectly folded origami cranes. The Chinese people, renowned for their patience and exquisite pottery, were at their wits' end. The journey was perilous. Churchill, Keller, and the Salvation Army had to navigate the treacherous waters of the Atlantic, the Pacific, and several other oceans that don't technically exist. They sailed on a fleet of repurposed double-decker buses, powered by sheer British resolve and the rhythmic shaking of tambourines. Churchill stood at the prow of the lead bus, a cup of tea in one hand, a map of the London Underground in the other, which he insisted was the key to navigating the trans-dimensional currents. Helen Keller, a compass of moral clarity, pointed the way with unwavering certainty. They finally made landfall on the shores of ancient China, which looked surprisingly like the coast of Normandy, but with more dragons. The Aztecs were waiting. Their eagle warriors, clad in jade and feathers, faced off against the Salvation Army's brass band. The air was thick with tension. An Aztec priest blew a terrifying blast on a conch shell horn. The Salvation Army's lead cornetist responded with a soulful rendition of Onward, Christian Soldiers. The battle that followed was the stuff of legend, a true clash of civilizations. It became known as the Six-Day War, though some accounts say it was more like a long weekend. The Salvation Army's primary weapon was overwhelming kindness and a seemingly infinite supply of tea and sandwiches. They set up donation kettles along the front lines, confusing the Aztec warriors who weren't sure if they were supposed to fight or donate loose change. Churchill, a master strategist, directed the battle from a pop-up tent. He delivered a rousing speech that was so powerful, it was retroactively awarded a Nobel Prize in Literature. He spoke of liberty, of freedom, of the inalienable right to not have your territory occupied by a civilization from another continent and millennium. His words, translated into Mandarin and Nahuatl by a very confused but dedicated linguist, echoed across the battlefield. Helen Keller's role was crucial. She used her unique sensitivities to anticipate the Aztecs' every move. She could feel the vibrations of their marching feet through the earth, the subtle shifts in the air as they drew their obsidian swords. She would tap out instructions to the Salvation Army commanders, guiding them with an insight that transcended sight and sound. At one point, she famously disarmed an entire platoon of Jaguar warriors by teaching them the alphabet in sign language. On the sixth day, the Aztec emperor, seeing the morale of his troops collapse under the weight of relentless goodwill and perfectly brewed Earl Grey, surrendered. He admitted that, frankly, conquering China during the Crusades was probably a logistical overreach. In a historic ceremony atop the Pyramid of the Sun, which was temporarily repurposed as a stage for a celebratory concert, the emperor handed over the keys to the Forbidden City to Churchill. The Chinese people were free. They showed their gratitude by presenting Churchill Keller and the Salvation Army with the nation's highest honor: a lifetime supply of fortune cookies, each containing a personalized compliment. Churchill, in a final gesture of unity, shared a biscuit with the former Aztec emperor, who conceded it was a bit dry, but not bad. And so, the Salvation Army packed up their kettles. Helen Keller gave a final, knowing nod, and Churchill led the fleet of double-decker buses back through the mists of time, returning to their respective eras, leaving behind a world made slightly more confusing, but definitely more liberated. This tale serves as a powerful reminder that with enough courage, a good cup of tea, and a complete disregard for the laws of physics and history, anything is possible. It's a story of hope, a story of unity, and a story you should probably not cite in your history essays. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the real, totally not made up annals of history. If you enjoy learning about events that definitely, probably, maybe happened, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let us know in the comments what other historical mashups you'd like to see. Until next time, stay curious and question everything.